Are wrist straps worth it for lifting weights? Yes. Here are 6 uncontestable reasons why wrist straps are worth it. Reason number 1, increased wrist stability and range of motion. One of the biggest benefits of wrist straps is how they stabilize your wrists during heavy lifts. Now, they limit unnecessary wrist movements, and this can prevent hyperextension of your wrists, which can cause problems for your wrists. Now, more wrist stability equals better alignment, and this translates to improved range of motion. If your wrists are sitting in the proper place, then you can do the exercise properly and achieve the range of motion that was intended for it. Wrist straps are great for exercises like the bench press, shoulder press, and Olympic lifts where wrist wobble is common. Think about a clean and jerk or a heavy bench press. You're more likely to lose stability in your wrists under a heavy load. Wrist straps prevent that wobbling and keep your wrists aligned so that you can handle that heavy weight. Reason number 2, increase strength. Believe it or not, wrist straps can actually help you lift heavier. By reducing wrist strain, wrist straps allow you to direct your focus towards lifting the weight instead of stabilizing it. And there's lots of anecdotal evidence that show that lifters can lift more using wrist straps. Because they give you a better grip position, they reduce the energy spent trying to stabilize your wrists. And lifters often report being able to add a few pounds to their bench press or overhead press after adding wrist straps into their routine. Reason number 3, increased confidence on heavy lifts. Now, this may be the biggest benefit of wearing wrist straps. If you've lifted heavy in the past, you know that having that mental edge is a huge part of being able to lift heavier. And wrist straps can give you that little mental boost that you need. I feel so much more secure when I'm doing a heavy bench press or especially a close grip bench press using wrist straps than if I'm not. Beyond that, when you feel supported, you're less likely to second guess your technique and you can more sort of be in the flow or in the moment. Because they reduce discomfort and pain, you're not worried about how your wrists are handling it. And less worry about potential injuries equals more focus on executing the lift properly. I mean, imagine going for a new PR. If you're not sure your wrist can handle the weight, it's hard to focus. So being able to tune out that distraction and focus on the lift really helps. And do not underestimate how important psychology is in lifting. You want all the advantages you can get, and wrist straps give you another advantage. Reason number 4, injury prevention during heavy lifts. One of the most common reasons for using wrist straps is injury prevention. Now, I'm no doctor, and don't take my advice too literally, but you'll see many experienced lifters using wrist straps, especially power lifters and people doing heavy strength training, to avoid common wrist injuries. Now, I'm definitely not saying wrist straps will for sure prevent wrist injury, but in theory, they should help. Reason number 5, longevity and reduced wear and tear. For those of you training long term, wrist straps can play a huge role in preserving your joints. Now, we all know consistent heavy lifting can lead to wear and tear on your joints over time, and your wrists are one of your most vulnerable joints. So wrist straps really come in handy here. They provide support, allowing you to sustain your intensity for longer periods of time. Now, this is especially useful for athletes looking to keep up their performance as they get older. Think of wrist straps as a long-term investment. They keep your wrists healthy so you can keep pushing heavy weight without setbacks. Reason number 6, they're cheap. So let's talk about cost. Wrist straps are one of the most affordable lifting accessories that you can buy. Compared to the benefits, wraps are a low-cost investment for your safety and performance. Quality wrist straps can be found as low as $20 to $30, so they're affordable for most lifters. And unlike other gear, wrist straps last a long time and can take a lot of wear and tear. For the price of a meal or two, you can grab a pair of wrist straps that'll protect your wrists for years and years to come. Now, despite all these benefits, you don't want to become too overly reliant on wrist straps, especially while lifting heavy. You really want to only put them on for your heaviest sets or your working sets if you're doing lighter weight but higher volume. And make sure to lift occasionally without them to make sure that your wrists aren't getting too weak. You don't want to get any joint or muscular imbalances going on here. Because if your wrist strength starts weakening too much and gets too out of proportion with the rest of your body, this can lead to imbalances, which again can down the road lead to injury. Now go and watch this video where I give my 2+ year review of one of the best, most affordable, and most durable wrist wraps on the market, the Strength Shop Stiff Wrist Wraps. Like and subscribe for more strength training tips and home gym equipment reviews.